we were not sure about the opponent. They had told us he's fighting. We were getting ready for somebody else, and then a few weeks ago, I'd say 3 4 weeks ago, I get a call from
Robert Garcia is explaining what happened with Raul Curiel and his camp, and he said it wasn't the 1 pound weight miss. He was like they didn't know they were fighting Quentin Randall until 4 weeks before the fight, and I haven't listened to the rest of the interview. Pro Box TV, the show that Paulie and Chris and Coach Garcia do. So that's what I was watching. Hopefully everyone's all right. Wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. It's Tuesday morning, August 4th here at 9 a.m. Let me know how you're doing. For all the JSB insiders, check your Patreon, check the YouTube members only section. There's 2 tickets. I have there's a boxing quad that I like that's everything's plus money. And then I've done an MVP moneyline double, which 2 of the lady fights that I really like. You could turn that into a triple if you like. It's just that the third leg wasn't offered to me until now, but I do like a third leg on that. We'll go over it. We'll go over the MVP card. We'll go over the Zuffa Irish card, and we'll talk about it. And there's another card as well. So the New Zealand card as well, devinhaney fight, and yeah, so there's a lot of action. There's a lot of action as well. We also have there's the UFC this week, but we'll talk about that at the end of the week. And if you're not in our Discord, we're approaching 600 VIPs. It's a couple bucks a month. The value is amazing. It's not just getting my picks and tips or just getting elevated on these live streams. It's about joining our community. We have a large growing group of guys who do film study equally to my film study and have knowledge equally to my knowledge. So I've never put myself above anybody. It's not kind of how I roll or operate. I learn a lot from our group and we share tips. We share our tickets. It's not just boxing. Every pro sport is individualized. So you could either join here on YouTube or on Patreon. And if you guys are a JSB insider on YouTube or a VIP on Patreon and you're not in the Discord, private message me and I'll send you the invite only Discord link. We live stream all the fights. This is my favorite time of the week, to be honest with you, because, and I'll show you what I mean. This is the film study portion of the week. You know, this is where we're looking at our odds. This is where, if I have any questions before I put my bets in, I'll lean on our group. I'll lean on our community. And you guys always give the best advice, man. I'm going to keep that link pinned. So it's pinned in the comment section. And I'm just going to show you. Shout out to Barium. Barium did a great breakdown on the MVP card, the girl fights, and the odds in the girl fights. You got Tam T-Ball fighting. You got Shanika Johnson, Sugar Neeks fighting. You got Chicken fighting. I think I'm going with Gallier against Chicken. I definitely like Shanika against Thornsland, and I like. Let's see. So I'm not going to read all of this, but this is a great write-up. If you're in the Discord, have a look at Barium's triple. So if you're on Twitter or X, I'm not. If you are, follow him. He's a beast. He's one of our JSB insiders. He's a sniper. He breaks it all down. He's gives us great value with the female fights. And a lot of his work I enjoy. No one's going to be 100% accurate. He's and because I'm a writer as well, and I have a couple books that are published. I like the way he writes, and I think he's spot on with this. He breaks down the Sugar Neeks fight. He breaks down Amanda Gallier and then Tam T-Ball. I like all 3 of those as well. If you take Tam T-Ball, Shernika, and Gallier plus 332, great odds. I have a double similar to that. Now, we will get it. Like I said, if you're not in here, join. I'm going to get us caught up to date. I was listening to the intro song. Open the Discord, bro. You a legend. All right, let's do it. I'm going to pull up the odds now. I'm going to pull up the books. And then I'll say what's up to the chat real quick. College football is starting soon. Keep that in mind. We have an American NFL and college is starting soon, so we have a channel for that. All right, these are the books. We'll get in a second. I'm gonna say what's up to the chat. We got Beast Mode with 1,000 jewels. I appreciate it, brother. It says a goat trophy. Um, I've been seeing these jewels, these sort of over the last few weeks. I appreciate it. It looks. I'm not quite sure what it is. I need to look at my Google YouTube analytics. It looks like some sort of a super chat. I appreciate the support. And Beast Mode, you're a beast. Mike from Melbourne says, "What's up, Johnny? I'm rolling with Callum Walsh, Aaron McKenna, and Nakia plus 104. Still doubles your money, leaving out Kraus. His opponent has fought tougher opponents and the ladies." Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. I disagree about leaving out Greatest. Greatest Kraus is a G, dude. I've been watching Greatest Kraus his entire, sort of uprising. The marketing they've been putting behind him. He's been selling out, shows in the Netherlands. He's a big athletic Dutch striker. He comes from a great combat sports family. His father was a fighter. I think Sean Hemphill is tailor-made for him to look good. Hemphill is a Louisiana kid who is known to travel to Europe as the B-side. He has had upset wins in the past. I just don't think that he's going to even come close to Greatest Kraus. So if I'm getting a stoppage, if I'm getting any sort of props on Greatest Kraus, I'll let you know. But I'm high. Greatest Kraus they're bringing in Hemphill for a reason. It's exactly that. And everything that the Greatest does in the ring, resume aside, I fully expect Greatest to overpower, be too much, and I don't want to say make it look easy, but get the job done. Apparently, our boy Mike from UK is boxing this week. Should hit him up, maybe get him on. Mike Tyler, I just got to make sure his fight's still on. I heard some awful news that it was canceled due to, I don't want to get too gossipy, but one of our moderators in our Discord a couple weeks ago, there was like a meltdown. I wasn't, I wasn't aware. It was one of these weekends where I think I was out. I think there was a food festival. Anyway, a couple of these guys and him were going back and forth, and I guess he had a meltdown and names. I heard the fight was off, and if it is off for the reasons that I heard it is off for, I'll address it after fight week. I don't want to talk about it now because I can't get. No one has told me 100% if it's off or not. And if it is canceled because of what I heard it was canceled, I'm going to definitely address it after fight weekend. So keep that in mind. What's up, the one Tay? How you doing? Is there dog this week? The girl fight on Patreon is almost plus money. Who's the girl fight on Patreon, brother? So yeah, I have a dog. I haven't posted yet. I have my UFC dog is plus 118. I'll share it after the live. My yeah, the double. The girl fight on Patreon. I don't know who the girl fight is. I have two. I posted on Patreon 2 girls. If you take T-Ball and Shernika, I'll show you. It is plus money, Jerry. So if you take T-Ball, get rid of this. See, it's plus 156. So this is in the Discord. I shared this in the Patreon and on YouTube. So maybe I'm confused on what you're saying. This is the only girl fight that I put in the Patreon. It is plus money. And then we have a four leg quad that pays plus 132. And the only tickets you'll ever see me share will always be plus money. So I'm just confused on your statement there. But let's continue. Solution. What's up, brother? Solution, you got the link to the Discord, right? I know you just joined. What's up, John Mag, Salute Boys? What's up, listening while running? Yeah, this is my Tuesday morning, so I trained today at 5 a.m. So my first training session was at 5 a.m. It just did a 30-minute continuous clock calisthenic workout, and then I'm going to spar. I have a kid who's 21, athlete, young, all things that you could expect from a young, fit 21-year-old, and I'm teaching him how to box. So he's been. I'm going to build him up to eventually be able to spar with me. And that's kind of like what I do these days in terms of the boxing. I'm not going to spar anybody that I don't know. So I have sparring at 4 p.m. and then I'll probably power lift at 1 p.m. I try to train, whether it's mobility, calisthenics, running, powerlifting, or boxing. I usually do 2 of those a day, 5 times a week. How do I get in the Discord? You got to join real twice. So the link is pinned here in the chat. You join here either on YouTube or on Patreon, and then you get access to all of our tips. But more importantly, you become part of our community. Party hat. Party hat, party hat, party. What are these jewels, man? I don't know what these jewels are. What about Wash on points? Is plus money. What are your thoughts on that? Let's check it out. Callum Walsh. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm the biggest fan of Callum Walsh. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think he's going to be a potential world champion. I do think at this stage of the game, the matchmaking, where this card is taking place, I feel that it's no secret that Callum Walsh and Aaron McKenna are on the same card. I think Aaron McKenna would dog walk Callum Walsh. And we know McKenna's fighting for the vacant world title at 160 against Etinosa Oliha, and I think he's going to make that look easy. And I think Callum Walsh, he's fighting Tyler Denny. Tyler Denny's a guy, a British guy. He's had, some good showings in the past. What's Tyler? Tyler might be in his mid-30s now. This fight was made to make Callum look good. I'll see if I have props. Yeah, so I don't have a prop play on this, but if you were to ask me, will Callum Walsh knock out Tyler Denny, I wouldn't be super confident. Even though the odds suggest, as you could tell, the prop there, plus 120, the bettors think that he should. If you had to put a, finger to the trigger, I would probably take Callum on points as well. That's not my official play. I'll let you know as we continue throughout the week. Does anyone see Walsh on US apps? I can't find him. Somebody help Barry out. If you guys are in the US, maybe drop your betting apps for Barry to see if he can find action on that fight. Beast mode. Since you hit a lot of plays, has your bookie ever tried anything funny? There's ways around this. There's ways around sort of laying low in terms of I've heard guys, look, I gotta be honest with you, I know guys who use my app who are in Australia whose bankroll is bigger than mine in terms of what they're betting. I know guys who are betting 10 grand and winning with the receipts in our Discord to prove it, who don't get banned. But then I hear guys in America, from our chat, who will hit like $1,000 prop play and then they get banned. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it has anything to do with the books. I win a lot. I've never been banned. I don't know. I don't have those answers. And if it ever gets to that point, I'm sure I'll just figure that out as well. Youngin, you have a good rest, bro. There's some good action for you. Youngin, what we need from you this week is to rein it in. Rein it in. Find your wins. Get back on, win like 3 in a row. Come on, bro. You could find 4 wins in a row. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes if our betting style is a bit too risky and, because of that, that risk you're not hitting, what I would then do is rein it down and find some wins. If you're looking for plus 800, plus 1,000 tickets week in and week out, and you're missing on one, which I see happens a lot with a lot of the boys who like the long odds, cut it to like plus 250. No shame in the game. Like I'm a plus 200 guy, but depending where your bankroll is, if your bankroll is at a decent spot, plus 200 is all. Guys, plus 100 is all you need, depending on where your bankroll is. What I feel everyone's ideal bankroll, your goal, everyone watching this, if you want to consistently and make a run at doing this, win consistently betting on just boxing and occasionally MMA, your goal should build your bankroll up to where a plus 100, so doubling your money, is all you're looking for. And a lot of our boys, the big hitters, come to me because that's kind of my niche. I didn't know it was my niche until you guys told me it was my niche about a year ago. But we don't have a season in boxing. It's the greatest sport on earth, without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt. A ring, a bell, two dudes with fists. All you have is this. Who's the better man, baby? I'll watch that shit behind a bar. I'll go right outside, to the market if I see somebody squaring up. I'll make sure it's fair, but I'm gonna tune in. So when we have action every weekend and we have cards like this weekend, MVP card, the women's fights are a freaking gold mine. These MVP cards, these ladies fights are a freaking gold mine. And those who say otherwise, they're just not in the know, or they're not putting effort forth to really study the tape, really study the odds. Our group, shout out to Barium, shout out to there's a few others who, and I myself, I really enjoy watching the female boxers. I used to manage female fighters. From a betting perspective, I think it's a sneaky gold mine. Look at our receipts of finding dogs. I'm not talking plus 200 dogs, like plus 450 dogs, plus 500 dogs. The odds makers get it wrong all the time in boxing. So when we have this week, we have the MVP card, we have the Zuffa card. We have all these fights laid out. We have the New Zealand card, devinhaney fighting Floor Mason. If I can't find you guys 3 fights or 4 fights to get us to plus 110, and I can't do that consistently, I'm not doing my job. And look, this past weekend, 4 out of 5. The week before, 6 out of 7. The week before, 5 out of 6. The week before, 5. So back to Youngins, Youngin and I are kind of continuing on a chat from last night. He was saying how, he will kind of going through a little bit of a lull, but his style is so heavy. He does moonshots. Your goal, Youngin, I feel, should be to build a deep bankroll and just focus on plus 110s. Now, if your bankrolls, and I'm not saying this is you, I get it. If you're entertainment betting $10, it might not sound too satiating, but you could still build with like $10 bets. You double, you build a $10 bet into $100, and then you take the 100, and you leave 50 in the account, double that 50. Now you got 150. You leave half in the account, 75, double that 750, and in 3 weeks you're sitting at 225, and you're being risk adverse. And surely throughout the year there's going to be some upsets, but you're going to be winning more often than you lose, and you're going to be staying in this range of plus 110 to plus 210, constantly doubling your money. And that's kind of how I built my bankroll as well. Sorry, I meant Johnson 86% to have her own money line ticket. Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's I know guys who are only playing Shernika this week. If you're betting 10 grand on Shernika to win on the money line, you're getting 8,600 back. 86% return is insane. So if I didn't pride myself or market my tickets as I just did to you boys on, I'll never give you any tickets that aren't plus money, I would do that. You know what I'm saying? If you have I know guys who'll throw 1,000 on Shernika to get 860 back. It's a great return. But I couldn't leave it as a standalone. I had to throw Tam T-ball. Throw Tam T-ball. Tam T-ball's a beast, dude. You add Tam T-ball to that ticket, and that's what I did. You're at plus 135. So we're doubling our money. Romero versus Teo. We'll talk about that when it comes up. What's up, Chad? Brandon in the house, T87. All right, Small Falcon to Barry, Bet US. He's giving you your answers. Shout out to the chat. Guys, we're 18 minutes in, 70 of you in here. Could you like the video? That's all I ask. The JSB insiders already know what time it is. They're the ones with the stars by their name. The Patreons know what time it is. Barry's a Patreon VIP. You get all my tickets, all my tips. But the Discord is what, the film study. We make our money. Guys, the fights are on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we make our money right now. We're making our money right now. We make our money on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday during these chats, during film study. So if you have any questions, and we're not trying to create echo chambers, if you're hearing a fight that you hear me have an opposite lean on, ask me. Be like, Johnny, I heard you say you like this fighter. Tell me why. What do you see the path to victory is? Do that. And this is how we build sort of this really well-educated community that we have going on here from the questions we ask. It's always hard to bet the decision for guys with blazing hand speed because they just tag their opponent the whole fight. It ultimately comes down to how bad the opponent wants to see the final bell. That, where the fight's taking place, who the referee is it a 12-rounder, 10-rounder, 8-rounder? Who's the A side, who's the B side? Yeah, there's a lot of variables to outcomes, if it's going to go points or if it's going to get stopped. There's a lot of variables. And I think Barry, the crux of your comment has a lot of value to it, because all of you bettors out there this week and every week, when you're looking at outcomes, if the money line isn't sufficient enough for you and you need to find value and you have to pick a knockout or have to pick on points, the list you should be dissecting should be all the things I just said. All right, and it should be like, what is each guy's record? The box records is like the last thing, right? It should be, how long's the fight? Where's the fight taking place? If you guys have it, like, is it a big ring? All the normal sort of questions you guys will be asking yourself when you're doing your own film study. It's never just, this guy's a power puncher, this guy gets stopped a lot. Like, there's so many, because we've seen a lot. The big one is Brandon Glant versus Jai Pataya. Everybody was jumping on the Jai knockout, and I played a lean on Jai on points. And Jai on points lean had nothing to do with Jai or Jai's power or Jai's strength but everything to do with his opponent's durability. So that's kind of an example too of, sometimes when you're looking at outcomes to bet on, it's not always the fighter you think. It's not always focusing solely on who you think is going to win. Sometimes it has a lot to do with, like this past weekend, we hit a double points prop. We hit Morataya on points, and we hit Raul Curiel on points. And we had a whole list of reasons why we were putting them. We got a plus 330. We had a whole list of why we were taking Curiel and Morataya on points together. Two of the main parallels on both fights were that Quentin Randall had never been stopped. 35-year-old crafty vet, awkward guy. Quentin Randall's a guy it's really hard to look good against. And then Robson Conceição, a 37-year-old former world champion, gold medal Brazilian Olympian who had never been stopped either. So when a lot of people were taking Curiel and Morataya by knockout, the path I was hearing, the debate was Curiel's knockout to win ratio or Morataya's impressive sort of aggressive style that he's showing levels to, especially in his most recent performance up until this past weekend against Andy Cruz. But nobody was talking about what I was like, okay, but you have to talk about, they're both fighting guys who have never been stopped. So we don't know the outcome before it happens, but to me, that's something I'll bet on. I'll bet on a guy to go the distance who's never been stopped, who's been a world champion, and who especially was a gold medal Olympian. These guys don't know how to not continue. You know what I mean? And then, so the comment there is loaded, and it's kind of how my mind works when I'm thinking about outcomes. Walsh is not in the U.S. sports books. We still don't. You don't have to bet that fight, boys. This week is going to be good. I'll take it light, but also build. Yeah, brother. The big fella. I just bought the Discord. Where's the link at? Real, did you sign up on Patreon or YouTube? I'm going to check real quick if you did it on Patreon. See Twice joined as paid member. Yo, See Twice. I'm going to send you the link right now, brother. The chat doesn't mind. We're all a team here. We're a very educated team. We welcome new members. Welcome, See Twice. If you have any questions once you're in the Discord, just let me know. I'm DMing you right now on Patreon. Send direct message. Welcome, bro. All right, big dog. Check your DM. Boxing is the best. 100%, dude. 100%. And once you figure this out, once you figure this out, look, I watch other sports. College, the only others, and I'm not including MMA because I do win a lot of money and bet on MMA since I was a kid. But over the last decade, MMA has gotten a lot tougher to bet on due to the parity of matchmaking and the amount of fights they have. We used to only get like 6-7 events a year. Now it's like every week. So that being said, I kind of tapered my betting back on the UFC by like 80%. I used to only bet UFC probably 10 years ago. Now it's like I do it for the channel, and I'm a bit sharp at it. I definitely think my hit rate's not bad at UFC. I lost this past weekend, but before that we had hit like 4 weeks in a row. But boxing, the thing about it is, if you can't be a loyalist you can't be a loyalist towards a boxer and win at betting in this sport. Do you know what I'm saying? So the only way you could win consistently by betting only on boxing is being a fan of the sport and not a fan of the fighter. Because if you find yourself betting on fights because you are a fan of the fighter, you're going to be betting with your heart, and you're going to not see things as logically as you should see them. So I'm a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. My team sucks. We've never won the Super Bowl. I'm a diehard Cleveland Indians fan. I'm a diehard Cleveland Cavs fan. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. I was born in 82. For a pro sports team, we've had one championship, 2016, LeBron. This is why, where I come from, LeBron is the GOAT of all time. You can never say otherwise. I'm pissed at him right now for him going to Philly and not coming back home, but I'll get over it. But you bring us a championship in Cleveland, bro, forever GOATed. Okay. I'm a diehard Ohio State Buckeye fan. My whole family went to Ohio State. I went to Pitt. And so, we're a powerhouse in college football. We've always been a powerhouse in college football. But I don't bet on the Buckeyes. I don't bet on the Browns. I don't bet on the Cavs, and I don't bet on the Indians. Those are my favorite teams because I'm a fan of those teams. In boxing, it's kind of the same. You shouldn't be betting on a guy because you're from Philly and he's from Philly. I could tell you're not gonna be that good at this. Or you shouldn't be betting on a guy strictly because he's Mexican and you're Mexican, and the other guy isn't Mexican. And you shouldn't be betting on. This isn't your sport to bet on. You have to be 100% unbiased. And once you get to that point, trust me, you'll be able to see things a bit differently. I lost $25,000. Why would you bet on Dylan Capit? Manny, I'm going to kind of give it to you here as I'm going to come at it from a coaching perspective and as a teacher. Dylan Capetillo was $1.02 on the money line going up against a guy, a 30-year-old roofer who was like on some books 20-1. It was a 4-rounder. If this is true and you lost $25K on Dylan Capetillo, that hopefully your bankroll is like 1.5. For you to be betting 25K on a 17-year-old, your bankroll is probably fat. You probably have like at least a 500K bankroll. I hope. I've never ever seen an upset that was this big with Golden Boy A-side. Ref didn't even help him out. Back in his feet. Yeah, I mean there was 7 seconds left in the round. You know how I feel about Thomas Taylor. The best part about Thomas Taylor is his hairpiece. Thomas Taylor, as a ref, you should not have main character energy. Thomas Taylor got his hairpiece, tight shirt on HGH. Like, yeah, Thomas Taylor didn't do Capetillo any favorites, but betting 25K on a kid who's a 1% return, you put 25 on him, what were you getting, $200 back, bro? What are we doing, Manny? You're better than that. I want to see that slip, though. I want to put that slip in our Discord. I want to see the loss. I totally forgot that I had Dylan on a parlay. You hold on. What the hell? You guys put $1 on a parlay. What do we do? We're putting $1s on parlays now. And Capetillo will be back. I don't like all of the hate. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's definitely going to come again. He made one bad decision. He was cruising in the fight. It wasn't like he was losing the fight. He chose to hook with a hooker, and he wanted a highlight reel knockout. He's 17. What were you doing at 17? Seeing all the comments, though, because I did a YouTube short about this, and I did an Instagram reel about this, and seeing people cheering for a 17-year-old's demise is absolutely asinine. I know that it comes with the territory when Oscar De La Hoya, when you're like 11 years old, tells you you're going to be the next face of Mexican boxing. I get all that. But that's no fault to Dylan. He's still a 17-year-old kid. But yeah, the referee did him no favors. and the round was coming to an end. He could have definitely counted. He could have definitely, have him regather, and then the round comes to an end. He goes back, recalibrates between the third and the fourth. His recovery, he would have been fine, and then he wins the decision, maybe a draw. But we'll see. Can you see Auntie Des getting stopped? Look, I'm happy with taking Tam on the money line, and I'll make this make sense to you, youngin. So I do have, just like all of you boys, with betting and winning, we have our superstitions, right? You guys have your own traditions. I'm sure there's fighters you'll never bet on, or let's say a fighter capped off a parlay and you hit massive on it. You then will treat that fighter who capped off your parlay in a specific way. The first week of June, I won the most money I've ever won in my life on a parlay that was 490 to 1. So you guys do the math. I think $50 would have got you 22K. That's all I'm going to. And so the last leg on that 490 to 1 parlay, and it's up on my Instagram, was Desley, Auntie Des on points. So I have a special place in my heart for Auntie Des because she brought it home for me. Because of that, I'm not getting too sexy. I'm not going to bet her to get knocked out. I'm taking Tam. And Auntie Des is big. She's big, she's durable, she's confident, she's in shape. The only way I see Auntie Des getting stopped is if there's maybe a cut due to a punch, that sort of thing. But for me, Tam Tebow at 38% return and Shanika Johnson at 86% return, that's as sexy as I'm getting with the females this weekend. So yeah, Auntie Des brought it home for me, man. I'm not gonna bet on her getting stopped. MMA is easy money. First weekend was easy money if you left Sipo alone. If you left Sipo alone, you know what my father used to say when I would say the word if in front of him? He'd go, Johnny, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. There's no ifs, mate. I don't believe in ifs. Billy Faye, hey, I just joined the Patreon. Yes. Yeah, so Billy Faye, you just joined the Patreon as well. I'm going to send you the Discord link. I see C twice. Is this yeah, Faye, I see your, I don't want to put your whole name on blast because I see it correlates with your screen name. Yeah, so Jake, I'm gonna send, so I'm a fucking moron. I'm reading it. So Billy Faye, I'm gonna send you the Discord. I'm gonna send you the Discord invite link, and then I'm gonna show you where the tickets are. Freaking, I swear sometimes I'm an airhead. It's tougher than it looks, boys. Okay, so Billy Faye, go to my Patreon and just go to posts. So the post section, you'll see all the tickets. Right now, there's 2 tickets up, and I'll be posting throughout the week. And all of my tickets will always be plus money. Just go have a scroll through there. FC216 from Cleveland. I'm from Youngstown. I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, the 330. Dude, if anything, when I'm biased, it's because of my Northeast Ohio fighters. It's because when Abdullah fights, or when Tiger fights, or when Conwell fights. And so I do sometimes have to check myself. In the Discord, I kind of went on a rant earlier about hopefully Tiger gets the Dev fight. So if Tiger, yeah, it's hard. I grew up, if you've never been to Youngstown, Ohio, if you've never been to Cleveland, Ohio, these are 2 gritty places, man. Steel towns, boxing towns, fight towns, pro sports towns, salt of the earth people. I always tell people this might sound crazy, but I didn't know what like this. I was born in the early 80s, and the school I went to from kindergarten to 8th grade, we had 12 boys. It was me, just mix of white and black, right? I didn't know what racism was until I moved to California. I like where I come from, nobody growing up, nobody was rich, nobody was poor. We were all like lower middle class, welfare, but nobody acted like they were better than anybody else. So it was like nobody was trying to. It wasn't until I went to college in Southern California that I was like, oh shit, that's racist. I didn't realize that people actually dislike other people from either where they come from or what they have or don't have or what they look like. I didn't experience any of that, and I never have where I come from. I go home to Northeast Ohio once a year. I've been gone since I moved when I was 18. I'm 44 now, but my whole family lives in Northeast Ohio. I have lost a lot of cash on my boys. Don't bet on your favorite fighters. You guys thought I was crazy for telling you Tim Tszyu was going to beat Errol and telling you that Errol was one of my favorite fighters. That was you got same thing. You guys thought I was crazy when I was betting on Bud, but Errol was one of my favorite fighters and Bud won. You got to when you get to a point of realizing it's about making money and not cheering for a fighter, then I suggest if your favorite fighter is fighting, don't bet on your favorite fighter. Just watch the fight. We don't have to bet on every fight. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's action doesn't mean we have. And this is for the UFC boys because the way the UFC rolls their card out, there's 12 usually 12 fights, one fight after another, and guys will put 12 fights on a parlay and first round sub and second round knockout and then one fight loses and they're getting action and then before you know it halfway through the card you're betting on every single fight and you're just chasing and there's no logic. You didn't do film study. You're betting on odds and you're just trying to build up these little oh, it's plus 2,000 odds. But you lost the last 6 tickets and you're going to continue to lose. And afterwards, you're just in this state of like, don't do that. Don't chase. Don't bet on every fight. Losing 25K on a boxing mismatch has to be. This is why I'm not judging the 25. Manny's our boy. Manny's a JSB insider. I would like Manny to kind of give me an explanation on it, though, as his friend and teacher, and in this case, his confidant. I'd like if one of my close mates did that, and I'm very empathetic to the L because it makes me hurt. That I'd have to talk you through it. I would, and this would be no judgment. Because I want to know where your thought process was. It had to be Manny was just like, this is easy money. It had to be Manny saying, there's no way this kid's losing. And nobody saw that coming. And so this is why moving forward, I always talk about strategically, if odds on the money line aren't at least $1.10, a 10% return isn't shit. But you can make a 10% return, spice up a 3-leg money line and make it go over the top for plus money if you wanted to. But I've lost $8s before. Caleb Plant was $8 against Armando Resendez, and he just and this is and I talked about this all the time. This was back in the day when I would put multiple big money favorites on multiple tickets. I don't do that anymore. Because of Caleb Plant lost to Armando Resendez, because of David Morrell's loss to Chelly, because so like when the whole world had a mental breakdown because Morrell lost to Chelly when he was like a 12-1 favorite. For me, I was like, Morrell was $1.09. I had him on one ticket, not the end of the world. But other guys had so don't let the game burn you more than one time in a specific way. Like I will never put a fighter who's that big of a favorite on more than one ticket. Because if he loses and it's a shocking upset, you don't want that shocking upset to dictate your whole weekend. Other tickets, right? And sometimes a good skill to have in this game that we do is being able to decipher which fights to bet on and which fights to avoid. Hey, Johnny, this weekend, which fight are you avoiding? Hey, chat, there's no way in hell I'm betting on Troy Williamson versus punk ass Callum Simpson too. Johnny, why would you say that? Do you not like Troy or Callum? No, chat. It's because in their first fight, I had Callum Simpson on 4 tickets. And he was a massive favorite and he lost. So when I saw this fight get re-signed, I was like, when that happens, I'm not touching it. Anyone adding the women bounce into their slip. I got the double, you know that. What I something I might start doing that I'm gonna tell you guys right now. A couple weeks ago, one of our JSB insiders hit for $130,000 on the picks that we talk about, right? And I didn't even ask him. I never ask you guys for tips. It's not in my nature to say, "Hey guys, tip me." Like that's a bit weird. It's a bit odd. I would never do that. So I get the chat. Our Discord knows that if you do want, like, I have a PayPal account, right? So I guess PayPal, being Australian, is international. I got a notification on my PayPal account 3 weeks ago of this massive amount of money. I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Who the hell did this? What is this?" And he left a note. It was a heartfelt note. It made my day. He's like, "Johnny, because of you, because of the picks, because of the Discord, I just made life-changing money. He $130,000." And all he did was, like, I give you guys 6 tickets a week, right? I give you guys my UFC dog, the boxing dog, a UFC triple, a boxing quad, a boxing method of victory, a short parlay, that sort of thing. But I break it up in individual tickets as strategy, because if one leg loses, we still have, everything else will still be in play. That's my strategy of how I deliver my services to you boys. And so, with that in mind, all of those 6 tickets are plus money. It just happened to be the week where the UFC dog was plus 340, the boxing dog was plus 300, the knockout prop was plus 500. Anyway, he took all of those 6 tickets and put it on one parlay, and only bet, like, I think he bet like $700 on it, and it paid out 130,000. So to answer you, Skeezy, what I think I'm gonna do is, once I give you guys all 6 tickets, and I think I'm going to do this moving forward. I think I'm going to make a separate ticket with all of my picks on it, because probably at least once every 5 weeks, everything hits. Like it's not as rare as it should be. So if like once every 4 or 5 weeks, if everything I pick hits, then that whole parlay will hit. And that's what I'm going to do that this week. I'm going to experiment it with that. I'll throw the female double. I'll throw the boxing quad, I'll throw my UFC dog, and I'll throw all of it on one ticket, and we'll see what those odds are. LeBron won a championship in every team he's played for. Philly's next. He has. I mean, how many people, like, I don't think the GOAT conversation is even in play. How many guys in NBA history are going to have statues about them from multiple teams? Miami will have a statue of Bron. LA will have a statue of Bron. Cleveland will have a statue of Bron. Y'all better stop playing with my boy. Here's another thing nobody ever talks about. So when I was a senior, LeBron was a junior. When LeBron was a sophomore, I was a junior. He played at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. I played at Youngstown Liberty. We were a division below them. They were in Division 3. We were Division 4. We played against Akron St. V's in the state playoffs multiple years. We played against Akron St. V's in the summer leagues. And we played against LeBron when LeBron was a freshman and I was a sophomore at the Beagley Center, Youngstown State's, where Youngstown State plays basketball. And he's a 15-year-old, and everybody knew who he was. And in that camp, we played against a Cincinnati team with a kid named Jason Maxiel. I'll never forget this. Maxiel was a junior when I was a sophomore. LeBron was a freshman. And Maxiel, I think he ended up being Mr. Ohio. And he ended up playing for the Detroit Pistons. And in high school, Maxiel was the man. Maxiel, like, kind of dominated LeBron in this high school tournament in the summer league. And then as they both get, they're both in the pros, Maxiel was doing his thing in Detroit, and LeBron, Cleveland. And we saw Detroit a lot in the playoffs and throughout the year. And the game I will never forget, the game that I feel cemented LeBron's legacy even before he won a title, was when he was playing against those Detroit teams with like 4 potential Hall of Famers. They had Ben Wallace, they had Chauncey, they had Rip, they had Tayshaun Prince, they had Maxiel was on that team. And it was either in game 5 or game 7. It might have been game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the year that LeBron took that terrible Cleveland team to San Antonio and got swept. And we had like Sasha Pavlovich, Ira Newble. We might have had Larry Hughes. Like there's no way LeBron should have took that team to the finals. But in game 7 against Detroit, and this was a championship team, Detroit, LeBron scores, I think, in the 4th and overtime included, the last 28 points. He went on a 28-point fucking run to send us to the finals. And he dominated Maxiel that game. And it talked shit afterwards. And it was a direct carryover from when they used to be amateur rivals in North playing in high school tournaments. But no one talks about the pressure LeBron had as a 15-year-old, as a 16-year-old, being on the Sports Illustrated cover as a 16-year-old, palming the ball like this. And it said, I think it might have said, "We are all witnesses," or it said, maybe that he's next. I forget what it said, but he's palming like a neon basketball. And what kid? Think about, even coming out of that AAU class, the McDonald's All-American class, it was supposed to be a Sebastian Telfair. People forget about Sebastian Telfair in New York City. He either played at Lincoln or Christ the King. And Telfair was a New York City legend already, right? He ended up, I think, getting drafted to Portland. I think Telfair might have been cousins with Stephon Marbury, but Telfair's career never really panned out to what it was supposed to be. Just an example of a guy who came out with LeBron, and due to pressure for whatever reasons, and you see this year in and year out, number one draft pick bust. LeBron lived up to every single expectation and more, and still it wasn't enough. Still that's how great that dude is. And you'll never hear me talk bad about LeBron. It's in my opinion, it's obviously I put Mike in his own category for what Mike meant for the sport globally, for what Mike meant to pop culture, for what Mike still means to the sport. And I hated him. The first time I ever cried in front of my dad, I told the story. I was 7, 1989, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semis in Cleveland at Richfield Coliseum. Cleveland goes up 1. Craig Elo hit a little bunny on the back end, and it was the shot. And this is before Michael was Michael, before Michael made it out of the East, and he hits that shot from the top of the key to beat us. And I remember as a 7-year-old, I couldn't take it. This is back in the day when you go cry because your team lost. And my dad, every year when the Bulls would win, he would hey Johnny, we would watch Jordan's post-fight interviews. And it was at the time when basketball players were like wearing hoodies, but Jordan always had a suit on, always had that earring in, always was clean cut, and always spoke to the media and spoke with such just professionalism. And I remember having to reconcile the two, thinking like, Dad, we hate the Bulls. We hate Jordan. But then at the other end, he was so great. How could you hate greatness? And so I put Jordan here, LeBron right next to him, and then everyone else at least 2 steps below. That's a little LeBron rant, my bad. It was, bro. I've been betting 20K. Okay, so you have your style. That's why I'm not judging you. I knew you know what you're doing. At 17, I was in juvie. People need to stop hating. I was in juvie. No one's hating. I don't think people are hating on you. Who's hating on my boy Youngin? When do sports books usually add boxing lines? I get the line. I'm in Sydney, Australia, mate. We get these lines early. Like if you look at the slip I put up on Patreon, I posted that on Sunday. Callum Walsh, Nakia, Tam. I like it. Plus 130. Let's go. Do you do the same unit? No, I don't. Great question. I don't. Last week, my biggest bet was Williamson on the money line. And it's not something that I share publicly, but I do address when you guys ask. There's a few of the boys in our Discord who will ask me, what's the unit size? J-Star, are you going to go full unit or half unit? UFC bets usually half unit. All my UFC bets, whether UFC Dog of the Week, always half unit. The MVP, like usually girl boxing, half unit. I like loading up on my boxing dogs. That's kind of where I butter my bread, is finding a dog, boxing, and going heavy on it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything as easy money. I agree. If it was a fifth happy Johnny, could you break down Aaliyah? He's not too bad. I think he lasts all 12. I'll get there in a second. Who we betting on, sir? Johnny, what's up? All right, so we're going to get to, do you guys want me to talk about Aaliyah? No, I mean, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. So Aaliyah versus McKenna. So Etnos, and this is a fight where the odds right now, I think these odds are, if you like Aaron McKenna, I would tell everybody you need to put Aaron McKenna on your parlay. Aaron McKenna, in my opinion, is going to carry 100. This could be, I don't think I'm off on this. I've known about Aaron McKenna for, at least 5 years. This is a kid, comes from a fighting family. Him and his brother, his father has been taking him to America since the amateur days. Aaron McKenna has been training with Bomac, has been sparring with Terence Crawford for like at least 7 years. So when I hear about European fighters who are young coming out of the amateurs, who are already seeking international coaching, seeking international sparring in places like Omaha, Nebraska, and then I hear guys like Bomac talking highly of Aaron McKenna years ago, you start paying attention to guys like that. Aaron McKenna is a 6'1", 160-pounder. He just turned 27 years old. He's undefeated, and this is the Zuffa main event. He's good at all ranges. He's long. He's good body puncher, good volume. His optics when he fights is very confident. He has good feet. I think, and this fight is for a vacant world title since Janabek Elamhanaleh was stripped due to his PED testing. And the 160-pound division has seen a lot of movement in the last 12 months. We know Hamza Shiraz has gone up to 168. There's rumors that Carlos Adames might go up to 168. I just said about Elamhanaleh being stripped. And you got Arislandi Lara, who's 92 years old, the champion there. So this is for a vacant strap. Edinosa Aliha is a Italian fighter, African-Italian fighter. Doesn't have the best resume. They do... stylistically, I just think that Edinosa, coming from his Italian pedigree, I just don't think he does anything better than McKenna. Neither guys are one-punch, like one-hitter quitters, one-punch power guys. But McKenna's class, his hand speed, his body punching, his punch placement, his volume punching, I think McKenna makes this look really easy. And I just don't see a path to victory for Aliha. He's a decent athlete. He's going to jump in and out. He's going to fight a little bit more brave than he really is. He's going to want to be on the front foot. But I think that's going to be the interesting thing is when I'm banking on, I don't see Aliha pushing McKenna back. And if he does, McKenna will invite that motion just to counter him. And then if you watch any Aaron McKenna fights, this is a kid who, once he gets his counters going, he's pushing you back. And he's been paired difficult his whole career. They had that tournament in Japan where he fought the undefeated American. He went in as the underdog. He stopped him in the 10th. His last fight, big step up against Liam Smith, looked great against Liam. Hasn't fought in over a year, but it wasn't due to injury. It was due to, trying to find matchmaking, trying to find guys who will take the fight. And, he signs with Zuffa. Zuffa comes to Ireland for this card. He's the main event. This is for the vacant world title. I think Aaron McKenna is going to showcase. I think he's going to show out. I think he's going to look even better than he did in his last fight, in which he looked great. And usually if a guy is out for more than a year, we might have something to talk about, but it's not like he's 35. He just turned 27. Aliha hasn't been active either. We know he was supposed to fight against Amo Williams. He had to pull out due to an eye injury during fight week health exams. They found something in his eye, and he hasn't fought in a while as well. And so I just think Aliha is going to be a guy with a nice shiny record. He's going to be there to get hit. I think McKenna has the hand speed advantage, the boxing acumen advantage. He's going to be the longer guy. They're both listed at 6'1", but when you watch the face-offs, I put them up in the Discord, McKenna looks like he's at least 2 inches taller than him. McKenna has a 79. His reach is insane as well. He's a very, very well put together fighter. I've said for the last few years, Aaron McKenna was a future world champion. He's probably at the top of a short list of my favorite European fighters. And if you haven't seen Aaron McKenna box, he's a joy to watch. I'm flip-flopping Sugar Neeks. Stay away from Sugar Neeks if you're not like it. Man, are you going? Yeah. I do like Gamer. How'd you know? Did I post that? I do like Gamer. Gamer plus money. You know what I'm saying? So that's another play you got to know. If you're getting a guy like Gamrot at plus money versus a guy like Q, Q's young, Q's a prospect, Q's been getting these viral wins, but it's going to be a smaller octagon. We know Gamrot's wrestling is elite. We know the smaller octagon is going to favor the grappler. And I just think that at this stage of the game, his experience, his seasoning, Gamrot is, not the youngest guy, but when you get a guy like Gamrot at plus money against really an up-and-coming guy, I'm going all in on Gamrot. Right now, I'm leaning Simpson. I'll make my official pick after weigh-ins. I honestly see every Irish fighter winning. Yeah. And the odds are pretty decent. So this is what Jay's talking about. So Connor Coyle, bit up there in age. Mark Buke is awful. No shade to Mark Buke. I don't want to project and call any pro fighter awful. But Mark Buke is a guy that we watched in his last fight. I think he got a feature. He fought a kid named Antonio. Who did he fight? Antonio Williams. And Antonio Williams was a guy like he's not awful. Mark Buke isn't a world level guy. I'll say that. Buke is a guy who is an American guy. I think if Connor Coyle can't beat Buke, he needs to just hang him up. Slow, stiff. He is awkward, but he's not a lot of skill. Kind of athletic, flat-footed. Watch his last fight. I want somebody to watch Mark Buke's last fight and sell me on him. Sam Hickey versus Brad X. Greatest Krause. This is also one of my top 10 favorite fighters in Europe to keep an eye on. I've been talking about Greatest Krause for about 2 years. He comes from a fighting family. He's from, not necessarily the boxing hotbed of the Netherlands, but it's 100% a fight hotbed. The Dutch are known for kickboxing, and his father was a pro kickboxer. And Greatest is a big, athletic, strong dude. He's a good puncher. He's very confident in there. Sean Hemphill is a guy who's been brought over to Europe multiple times as the B-side. We've even seen Hemphill as a dog just like this and has actually won fights before. So Hemphill is a Louisiana kid. I think he's really in tough against Greatest. I don't think he's fought an athlete like Greatest. Greatest is one of these hybrid athlete boxer punchers, dude. And when you watch the money Matchroom has been putting behind, he was doing his shows. They were putting money behind Greatest, within his first 6 fights. And we were getting knockout prop. We've been winning. Our group has been winning on knockout props, betting on Greatest for at least a year and a half. So when I saw this fight, Sean will be tricky enough. I don't know. Are we getting props on the stoppage here? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. It'll be interesting to see what that price package is if we do get props. Like Sean has been in there with decent Euro leveled guys, British level guys. If Greatest Krause's knockout prop is plus money, I'm going to play it. But right now I have Greatest just on that 12% return on a parlay. And I think he should be on everyone's parlay. Joseph Ward. Joseph Ward is a guy who had a lot of potential, a lot of hype. He kind of had this awkward, which turned into like a really horrific leg injury in a fight, which kind of derailed his career. I have heard some chitter chatter in our Discord about Kasparian being live. I don't have a read on that quite yet, but I'll get to that in the morning. Callum Walsh versus Denny. We know why Tyler's being brought in there. What is Tyler now? 35 years old. I think Callum's young legs, his athleticism, his explosivity. Tyler's not a puncher, and Callum, the only way he would lose this fight is if Tyler would catch him, and I don't think Denny's going to be able to catch him. And McKenna, I think Aaron McKenna should be on everyone's parlays. And this is a kid that I put above a lot of the other guys in Europe based off of his amateur pedigree, based off of his Commonwealth experience, based off of him, multiple fight camps with Bomac. I think he's a bit different. You could see the American in his style. You can see the body punching, the optics, how confident he is standing in front. People try to say he's stiff, but the kid can move. He's tricky. He has a lot of skills. He could use the ring if he likes. He has a great jab, good volume puncher, combination puncher. He does a lot of things really well. At 160 pounds, just turning 27 years old, the only knock on him for me is we want to see him more active. You got to think he wins this fight, he becomes a world champion, then we're talking unifications. And we'll probably see him in a division above as well. So that's a good fight. And I told you my take on Troy versus Callum. I'm not touching that fight based off of their first fight. Are you a Russian? My father was from Czechoslovakia. So my dad was born in Prague, which used to be called Czechoslovakia. My mother's whole family is from north of Rome. So the Tuscany region of Italy. So my Italian family are like blonde hair and green eyes, that sort of Italian. And my Slavic family are like 6'4", big old freaking Slavs. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm right below 6 feet. Greetings to Win. What's up, Win? How you doing? Manny, is Terramona gonna? Of course. Yeah. You savage, dude. Got to get that $1.03 fix in, baby. Let's go. You're crazy, man. I probably like McKenna on points too. McKenna gonna get the win for Ireland. They can't lose to that fight last week was insane. Shout out to Mark Chamberlain. Shout out to Mark Chamberlain. And you know, that fight was insane. Shout out to Pierce O'Leary. Pierce O'Leary, the way he punches, like when I'm watching him, you know, even like how he, you know, Pierce does that sort of like slip left, slip right to get into the pocket, and he throws the double right hand. Pierce O'Leary kind of looks like Mac from Mike Tyson's Punch Out when Mac would, when you would get the front player view of Mac coming into the middle of the ring. O'Leary comes like this and throws that double cross here, which you never see. You never see in modern boxing guys entering the pocket and not using their jab. Usually you're going to enter the pocket by popping that jab, especially a guy who wants to, you know, get into somebody's will. He's coming in slipping and throwing that ta-ta, and then he'll throw the backhand over. So, like, he had success, and that fight had every story of, like, you want to see in a fight. Knockdowns, cuts. You would think one fighter would be done, and then he comes back, and the guy who was up is down on the cards, and then he comes back. And the score, I think one or two of the judges going into the 10th had it even. All things considered, watching how it looked like Pierce was done in the first 3 rounds. He battles his way back, gets that gorgeous body rip knockdown. The tides had turned. He was actually, I think, $1.40 favorite going into the 10th. And then Chamberlain just wouldn't go away, dude. Chamberlain's length, Chamberlain's willingness to not be denied. I would see it again. But if Pierce is only 26. For the sake of Chamberlain's career, everything that he's already done, if you're Chamberlain's handlers, if the money's right, you would probably take him to something else, something bigger, because the Pierce O'Leary rematch will always be there. Even if Chamberlain moves on to get a big fight somewhere against, you know, an international opponent and loses, O'Leary will want to get that get back. So that I think that bag will always be there for Chamberlain. And if you're Pierce, that beatdown, like, he took a lot of shots. You know, I would take a year off. That's the type of beating you would take. You want to get your face healed. You want to get your mind right. He was in that fight. What a fight. What a fight. If you guys haven't seen Pierce O'Leary versus Mark Chamberlain, do yourself and watch it. If Krause was American, he could have been at least Division I wide receiver. Yeah, and that's kind of my read on him. And if you find his father, the crazy thing is when you see Greatest and his father in the corner, it looks like they're brothers. Like, this is how, and I only speak to that because it's a testament to the discipline this family lives with. You know what I'm saying? The father, usually father-son combinations in boxing, the dad looks like he's like 50 years older than the son. Greatest's dad, I think, has taken fights, has still fought kickboxing, I think, within the last few years. So when you see them doing photos, it looks like his brother, it's his pops. And Greatest has that same exact work ethic. Super athlete. You rarely see a European kid like that who's super athletic. Like, this kid is a super athlete, and he fights like it. Johnny Tsunami, what's up, player? I figure you're part Italian from your accent. All right, guys, we are in the midst of it. We're over an hour. I'll leave it up to the chat. There's still 92 of you in here. Somebody say, of the fights, is there any fight that I haven't kind of touched base on? We'll get more in depth tomorrow. Make sure you have notifications on, though, because I'll be uploading a Stats Don't Lie video tomorrow, my personal breakdown, analysis, and prediction, and path to victory of McKenna versus Etnosa. So I didn't get a chance to do a Stats Don't Lie video last week. I was a bit burned out due to the Tim Tszyu Errol Spence fight week. But I'm going to do one tomorrow on McKenna and Etnosa. I already have it filmed. I just have to edit it and upload it. So if you guys aren't, any more questions coming in, what's he saying? The party hat. What do I think? The chat kind of gets blocked sometimes when all these combinations when all these comments are coming through. Let me see in the Patreon if you guys. C twice. Okay. All right, boys. It looks like that's about it. I got to run. I do have some crazy. I do have to. I'll share this with you guys after. One of my clients, if you guys are still on, I'll share it with you. One of my clients yesterday. Do you guys want to see nightmare fuel? All right, watch this. I'm not. So look at this is from one of my clients' Ring doorbell cameras. Look at this shit. So she is a corporate woman who does really well for herself in Sydney. She lives alone, and this freaking guy for 4 days in a row has come to her house at 12:30 p.m. and banged on her door, yelling, looking through her mailbox. And when she calls the cops, he just scurries away. And they have footage of him. Dude, he's a tweaker. So he's been coming there for 4 days, right? It's 10:06 a.m. right now. What I'm doing is I'm gonna go down there. There's a park across the street because she's been staying at a hotel. I'm gonna go to this park and I'm gonna be there at 12:15 to see if he comes there today. And then I'm gonna tail him. I'm gonna do some intel because she's super scared. We'll see. Wish me luck. All right, boys. Crazy, right?